everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Clamp Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our predictions for the NBA awards this upcoming season. So let's start off with the MVP. Who do you got, Colin?
I got Luka Doncic. We've seen what he's been able to do since entering the league back in the summer of 2018. We know he's a superstar. We know he can always be a top 5 player in the league on a consistent basis. But this year he's going to make the jump. I think he's going to improve defensively. I think his fitness has improved over the summer. And I just think this is the year where he's made the improvements in his game. He's done the maintenance. I think this is the year where he really breaks out.
Look, I just think he's too young. I don't. Look. I know there's been a lot of young MVPs.
We've had,
but I just think that, like, in terms of his maturing of his game, I just think that he just doesn't have the assets around him to have like an MVP race type, like MVP top 2. I don't think he's gonna be in the top 2 discussion. I think he's gonna be the 3rd, 4th, 5th. Look, I think Luka is an incredible player. I think, going back to it, I think he's a very talented, gifted player, and he's very smart with his decision making. I just don't think the players around him can really aid into his success to be like a far playoff team. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think they'll go far in the playoffs.
But that's part of being an MVP is having success.
In the playoffs?
No, just getting a high seed. I don't think they're gonna be a high seed.
I see what you mean, and yet at the same time, I think as much as I don't believe they won't have a deep run in the playoffs, he has enough solid pieces. Not great role players around him. I won't call it like a Giannis Buck situation because I think Giannis has much better pieces around him.
I mean, he's got Drew, he's got Chris. I mean, those dudes are really good.
Yeah, again, not quite Giannis and the Bucks. However, he has role players that will, make the Mavericks a solid enough overall team that I think, I don't think that will really discard his MVP candidacy.
I think the team needs to have. I really counts on the team's success because the MVP is just not just the player stats. It's about the team success as well. And that's why I think that MVP will be Joel Embiid for this upcoming season because I think the Sixers will play well this season. I think there'll be a high seed in the East, and I don't think anyone's really doubting that Embiid's gonna be in the MVP race either way. Though, if he wins, he's still gonna be a high candidate. Look, last year I thought he should have won it last year. Jokic is a great player, but like really, Embiid should have won it, and I think if he can continue that with Harden, we don't necessarily know what Harden's going to be like this year, but I think Harden's going to play well, and then you got a maturing Maxey, a Tobias Harris, a really good team around him, and I think it's gonna be a very successful team, and he's gonna be a great player for the team, and he'll have great stats.
I agree. Here's a take for you. As great of a duo, as much potential, as much ceiling as that duo has, I don't even think that Embiid should Embiid win the MVP. I don't think he even needs Harden to come back as like some lights out player. I mean, obviously, and the reason I say that, if it's not James Harden this season, I think 21 now turning 22-year-old Tyrese Maxey is stepping in that role. You still got Matisse Thybulle. You've still got so many good players on that Philly team that it's totally possible to say, yeah, they're going to come out of the East. And yes, he has so many just solid players around him that I'm like, yeah, he could totally just, not even have a specific player where it's like that dynamic duo where all of these different players come together to work around Embiid to make him a great player. That being said, I think that the Sixers need to focus from that disappointing playoff loss on working together just so much as a team, repairing chemistry. Really, I saw that people in that playoff series against the Heat were taking forced shots. The turnover problem was horrendous. So I think that it can't be a one-man show with Joel Embiid. Therefore, I think maybe his stats will take a hit for the winning to go up, but I think it does damage his MVP candidacy.
Are you trying to say there's too much star power around him that there's gonna be so many shots being taken around him that he has to, if he wants to win, he has to take a lesser role in the offense
To an
and
extent,
the defense side. He's a great defender.
he's a
Great,
fantastic
great
defender.
shot blocker.
Yep. Great with perimeter and interior defense.
He's very
but
athletic.
very athletic. But the thing is, I'm not saying less of a role offensively. I'm just saying, yes, I suppose you could say his passing could improve because they've got so much young talent that I think everyone's trying to make a name for themselves. That if they work as a team, I think they could totally come out of the East, but maybe,
keep going.
I just think Embiid maybe doesn't have to be constantly carrying so much weight for that team, and then maybe he doesn't win the league MVP.
I think Embiid's a great passer, by the way.
He is a great passer. I just think that I think he'll be required this year, which I don't think he'll have trouble with, to pass a little bit more to like improve the squad.
Being a great passer and passing him the ball a lot is part of the reason people win the MVP. Getting a lot of assists to your name is a great thing. So I mean, look, if he takes a hit in the points column, he's definitely gonna improve in the assists and I think probably rebound because he's gonna get a lot of rebounds from people's shots.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think then that Joel Embiid has the most complete game in the NBA?
No, that's way too hard to say.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think
He's up there. He's up there.
Only because, he has a very unorthodox game. Which it's hard to say because look, I think he's a very complete player, but to say he's the most out of all these guys, I would look more. It's like a wing. I think the wing, like a small forward, is the most complete because they're in the middle. They're right in the middle. I mean, they have the best of both worlds.
It's a wings league.
Yeah, that's what KD said.
That's what KD said.
Right.
Okay. Moving. Defense player of the year. That's what we're going to move into. My pick is Bam Adebayo. This guy, I think he's been snubbed of this award before. I think you can agree with that. Yeah. I think he has put up multiple very strong candidacies for this award. But last year's season proved to me that this guy is still fully capable of being the best defensive player of the year or the best defender in the league. Now, I think he's going to have some strong competition, to be honest. It's a hot take, but with Kawhi coming back healthy, I think Kawhi poses a threat. We know who Kawhi Leonard can be as a defender when fully healthy. There's so many other. I mean, obviously, I don't want to name drop, but we know who's coming back on the Nets.
Okay,
this year.
Stop with the Ben Simmons talk.
He was a top 5 defender in the league when healthy. Was he not? Was he not all defensive first team? Was he not? Yes, he was. Yes, I'm not trying to be delusional, and I don't think he'll win the award, but he was a top 5 defensive player in the league and a consistent all defensive first team. Now, getting back to my point.
Bam on his back.
Huh?
How about his back? Is he okay?
He has a top 5 worst back in the. It's terrible. It just
look, Ben, as he's a great defender, he doesn't play. So how are you gonna say availability is the best ability? No.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Hollywood. Listen, the thing is, Bam Adebayo, to me, will finally make that jump this year. It's going to be some sort of X factor that he hasn't been able to show. I mean, he has a fantastic shot blocking ability. As I mentioned earlier about Embiid, his interior and perimeter D is top notch. So personally, yeah, all right, settle down. The thing is, I take him. He's been a candidate for a year. For me, I think he could have won it multiple times. This is the year. Look, conventional choice.
Yeah, I mean, Bam is a very complete player as well. And I'm a big Heat guy. You know that. I'm not a Heat fan, but I like how they play. I like Spoelstra. I like Jimmy. I like all the dudes in the foundation. But the thing about Bam is I don't know if the league really credits him enough. As he's a great defender. That's what I know you went on about that, but what I'm saying is because he's not credited enough, like I don't know how he's gonna get his how he's gonna get it. You know,
Well, that's what I'm saying because
he's very
I
underappreciated, and I think
yes,
he's one of the best
he's
defenders in the league.
underappreciated. But what I'm wondering is, what does the league? I mean, in your opinion, what does the league not see in this guy that he hasn't already had multiple Defensive Players of the Year titles under his name?
I don't know. That's why I'm confused as well.
I think he's just such a complete defender. I really
But going to it, because I think he's underappreciated, I don't think he's gonna win it. And as I said, as we've talked before, I think Kawhi Leonard is a great defender, and I think he's definitely gonna be a candidate because he's one of the best defenders of all time, in my opinion. When healthy, but it's again, it's a when healthy thing. He struggles with injuries, but with with him not being able to play every single game and having to deal with load management where he has to take games off. I don't think he's gonna win it because I think they want to keep him healthy. I think they want just win games, and when they don't need him, when they're playing against like the Thunder or something like a really not great team, like yeah, whatever, they won't play him. They don't want to risk him getting hurt because they need him come playoff time.
Yep.
So I think my guy's gonna be Rob Williams. I think he's gotten so much praise
Okay. All right.
from the last 2 years. So I'm gonna go Rob Williams. I think he's one of the best interior defenders in the league. Um and yeah, I mean he's the starting guy. Celtics always need that big man. He finally came in, fit the role, and I think he's so dominant because an aging Al Horford, he's gonna be the dude in the paint. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be the dominant force in the paint. So I think Rob's going to be the defensive player of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. Um.
I'll uh I'll hear that. Y'all know how I feel about the Celtics, but um there is no denying how special of a defensive player Rob
Yeah.
is.
I mean, we saw it against the Nets.
I think Rob, yeah, he has the ability to just really, I mean, he's so special in the paint. He just makes driving to the basket a nightmare for so many players. He's one of the most powerful players in the league. Um and just super versatile as a defender, but I don't know. I think Bam is just really the conventional easy choice here, especially because I think Bam is going to definitely, I mean, I'm no, genie, or I can't predict the future. But
I didn't know you were a genie.
Okay. I think that Bam is going to stay healthy this year. I think he's been pretty good with health. Rob is a little bit inconsistent with health. So it's a factor. I mean, you just got to keep that in mind. I'm going off, what the history we have. So I guess with that, I'm going to take Bam. Moving on to an award that very special to me, given that, I was the sixth man in GBA.
Colin was the worst six man I think I've ever seen in my life.
I schooled you in that game. I schooled you in that game.
What game?
Okay. When we played each other in GBA, it was over for you. Over. I was too good.
What are you talking? Is this some fantasy world you're living in?
We played each other in
I
GBA.
never even guarded you.
You didn't guard me, but I did play you, and I owned your team. Anyway, sixth man of the year.
Did you even go in? I thought you.
My dad was a coach. Of course, I got minutes.
Didn't you leave early?
I did leave early one game. I had other priorities.
I think you left during halftime because you like sad you didn't get playing time. Yeah.
All right.
Sixth man of the year.
Sixth man of the year. I'm gonna take TJ Warren. I'm going to take TJ Warren of the Brooklyn Nets, and here's why. This is the only Nets player I'm taking to win. This is the only Nets player I'm taking to win an award. It's not going to be KD for MVP. It's not going to be Ben Simmons for Most Improved. Okay? It's not going to be Steve Nash for Coach of the Year, as much as I want to give it to him. It's going to be TJ Warren. This guy, all right, you can relax. This guy coming back from, we haven't seen him healthy in like a year and a half. He is going to be special off the bench for the Nets. He is such a good defender, and we all know from 2020, not that I'm saying this is what he's going to turn into as soon as he steps back on the court, but we all know from the past few seasons before he got hurt, we know what he can do on offense. He is one of the most athletic players that you can see. He's a very athletic player. He is
currently, yeah.
We're going to see how he comes back, but I personally believe he will come back to a pretty, a version of the TJ Warren we knew.
Bubble.
He's not going to be Bubble Warren. Okay, nobody's turning into MJ Warren, but he is going to be a tremendous, super athletic addition for the Nets. And he's not going to start for us because obviously we have KD, Kai, Ben. I hate to say Clax at the 5, and then either Seth Curry or Joe Harris at the shooting guard position. Yep. So that's our starting 5. It's not I mean, it is just disgusting.
It's like the Jello on Fridays.
Okay. All right. But I would say TJ Warren as a 6 man. There's nobody more complete for that award. He is my pick.
There's no one more complete for that award. We haven't even seen him in a year.
It just makes sense.
You have him on a veteran's minimum.
Yeah, he is, and that's what I'm saying. This is such a steal. It's one of my biggest steals of the offseason.
I'm not even sure if he's going to play 6 man.
He is going to play 6 man. Who else is going to play 6 man?
I don't know.
Because you said before this episode he's going to start, which was ridiculous.
I did not say that.
You did.
I did not say that. I said, this is crap. Colin and I just had a feud. This is complete crap. I did not say that. This is okay. Did you have me recorded saying this? No. So that you have no evidence.
You did say
no evidence.
You said TJ Warren is going to start. I said no, he is not, and I gave you the starting 5. I don't know who else you think. Okay.
You have no mic.
Enough with that. Okay. The point is, TJ Warren. He's my pick. We got him on a vets minimum. He's one of the biggest steals of the offseason. He makes sense for me. He's one of the most versatile defenders and scorers in this league.
Have you realized that
after all the no after all
you've mentioned a Nets player and praised them to be like up to God? Like
yeah.
This is a guy on veterans minimums.
Like, you know what? After all this giggling and all this, just snarky comments by Burke, I'd love to hear who his 6 man of the year is.
Tyler Hero.
It's not going to be Tyler Hero.
Why?
Tyler Hero. He's
well, it's also a question. Is he going to start? First of all,
that's what I'm saying. I think he's going to start for him.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
All comes down to what Eric Spoelstra decides.
Yeah, I think it's all during the game plan. I mean, I think some games he'll definitely start because tactically it works out. Because sometimes they need a 3-point shooter like Tyler Hero on the court, the guy who can space the floor and knock down a 3 whenever. Or some guys they need a lights out shooter off the bench. It's really just tactically, and I think that there'll be more games where he's the 6 man than not. So I think he'll probably just be the 6 man of the year. I mean, he's a great player. I mean, Tyler Hero's one of the best shooters in the league. I mean,
I'm not doubting that.
Yeah.
I think he is a fantastic player. I think he is a very overall rounded, very complete player. However, again, as you said, I think just it's all about fitting that role. And I think in like a lot of games, you're going to be seeing him start. So I think it's just very hard to say right now, oh, I think he's going to be that guy. Like, I think he'll be just the 6 man, like on a consistent basis.
Colin, quick question, just out of nowhere. Who's a better 6 man, Jamal Crawford or Lou Williams? Those are 2 really good 6
Those
men.
are 2 of like some of the best 6 men of all time. Like those guys were tremendous.
Yeah. Both very exciting to watch.
I mean, all time, just as a basketball player, I have Jamal Crawford, but as a 6 man, I have Lou Will. I think it's by the way, both former Clippers is what Burke is trying to get me to to say. Yeah, you're not smooth. You're not smooth.
This is exactly
you're not smooth.
Okay. No, I just wanted to make talk about the Clippers. I wanted to do that, guys. Okay. Again, I think Tyler Hero. Going back to it, I think Tyler Hero is going to be the 6 man. Moving on. Most improved. Who do you have, Colin? The tough one. Again, you're speaking into the future. You think,
yeah. It all depends because I think I've been reading on this, and a lot of people are saying, okay, to be honest, what if Russ finally finds his role in the Lakers backcourt and he goes off the season? That might be my personal pick, just because I believe that if he and Pat Bev can figure it out, that could actually be a really good backcourt. Because I think Russ was so focused last season, and I think I brought this up a few podcast episodes ago. He was so focused last season on being the guy he was back in OKC, or Houston or Washington, where he was, you know, kind of either the franchise player or like uh, counted on to be such an elite scorer or offensive prowess. But to be honest, this season, I think it's finding his role on this Lakers team. And I think he's going to be counted on to be a really good, solid defensive piece, as well as just a really like steady guard. And I think Jeannie Buss said it completely correct when she said, "Well, look, you can criticize his playing, all you want last season, but he showed up on a consistent basis and played. So he is able to stay healthy. Again, I don't want to speak into the future. He's able to stay healthy, and I think this season he's really going to figure out what role he needs to play on this Lakers team, and I think he's going to have a breakout year.
Yeah, I mean, playing consistently is something that Ben Simmons can't do. And then,
Look who's bringing up the Nets now.
oh yeah, I just want to talk about the next con.
Yep,
Okay, second thing. Um, I think you see that the headline about Russ that they're considering him moving him to the bench.
I did, but there's so many rumors about the Lakers.
No.
Like,
This is like a real thing. Like this is like
I don't think that's going to
Bleacher
happen.
Report. This is
Yeah,
like
I don't.
all the sources. Like
Yeah,
it's
but do you
complete.
think that's going to happen? Realistically, you think they're actually going to move Russ to the bench? I don't think so.
I mean, he sucked last year. He sucked. And again, you were talking about fitting the role. It's a whole new style of play in Los Angeles with Darvin Ham in there.
But I
So
but I really really like the style of play that's been introduced to this Lakers squad, and I really think Russell Westbrook can actually thrive.
you need a dude who can pass the ball
Hmm?
to AD and LeBron. Like, I
Are
mean,
are we saying Russell Westbrook sucks at passing?
no, but I'm saying he's just not. He's a dude who wants to shoot the ball and put the ball in the basket all the time.
But what I'm saying
This
is,
guy wants to drive every single time he gets the ball. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. I think he needs to learn from last season that he's not OKC, Houston, what you call it, Washington, Russ anymore. It's about fitting the role. So yeah, like Russ, guess what? On every possession, you can't just drive and shoot the ball. But I
yeah, but
think
like,
last
look,
season needs to be a learning experience for him.
I mean, you're saying for him to learn, but like they're already having rumors of him moving him to the bench. Like,
I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. Honestly, that just I think at this point with, the import the how vital it is to rehab him back into the elite player Russell Westbrook can be, no matter what role that means or what Russell Westbrook he what version of himself he has to be. But it would make no sense to move him to the bench because that just creates more issues between him, more strife within the Lakers organization. And I think it's just like if you're moving him to the bench, like really, what's the plan to fill Russ's role?
well, they were discussing a trade to get Terry Rozier and Bogdanovich in a
Mm-hmm.
four-team trade. That was a big report coming out.
I did see that
So I
mock
mean,
trade.
look, that's another thing where they're looking for options. And look, the odds of the thing going through were tough because Terry's a good player, and assets the Lakers can give her, it's a tough deal to happen. But
I,
that shows that they're looking for asset. They're looking for someone to come in for them.
I do agree that putting assets instead of another superstar or someone who's going to be like selfish with the ball around LeBron and AD, I agree that putting instead of that just a bunch of good assets is a good idea. But I don't know. I just think with how great of a point guard Russell Westbrook can actually be,
Yeah,
I don't think it's a good idea. I think that trio can live up to its ceiling that we and the standard we all set for it back in this summer of 2021. So,
sure. I mean, it's gonna be a tough ask, but it definitely can happen.
mhm.
It's not out of the picture.
Okay,
All right.
who's your pick?
So I have to go with DeAndre Ayton. I think there's a lot of stuff going around him where he just wasn't, he was just really, a disaster last year, in my opinion. He was pretty good in the regular season, don't get me wrong. But come playoff time, he got so much criticism. I think he can use it into fuel. It's a question of whether what team he's gonna be playing on next year. But I think if he plays for the Suns until the trade deadline, plays for the Pacers, he could be very interesting.
And you see the Suns not starting him to start the
No,
season?
I see them starting him
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
until the trade
Yeah.
deadline. I
Okay.
mean, look, if he plays really well and he's happy, he might just stay with the Suns. If he plays okay, wants to get shipped off, um, and play. I see if he goes to the Pacers, he plays really well. I mean, he's got Halliburton over there. I mean, it's a very good team in Indianapolis. So actually, it's not a very. Let me rephrase it. It's not a very good team, but it's a good team for him to be around. Because I think Turner's probably gonna get shipped in the soon. To
Turner, I also, you see the things linking Turner to the Lakers?
Yeah,
That
again,
would be a smart
that would be
move.
great. And I think that if Aiton would fill the role, because we've seen how great Turner is, so I see Aiton. I mean, look, he was um very highly touted out of Arizona, and he's been pretty good in the league. But you know, he was in that draft with Luca Trey. He was the first pick, but
Yeah. So here's the deal with Aiton. I agree. I think that he does have the ability to have a bounce back season, but I think he also was just really, I think being a most improved player either means you're missing the whole season or you really demonstrated yourself to not play to your potential last season. Russell Westbrook did not play to his potential last
so did
season.
Aiton. Aiton did
Eight,
not play
eight
to his potential. He
in
was
the
the number
playoffs,
one
bro. In
pick.
the
He was
playoffs,
the number one
he
pick.
got the Suns along with
Remember
D-Book
how
to a
good he
number.
was? Remember how
Okay,
good he was against the
Burke, I
Clippers?
get it. I get it. But what I'm trying to say is, Burke, as you mentioned just a few minutes ago, the guy, along with D-Book, had a very solid regular season that put the Suns in
Solid,
first,
not great.
but it was
D-Book had a
good. I'm
good
gonna call it a good
D-Book
regular
had a
season.
great season last year. Look,
D-Book was great. DeAndre Ayton was
DeAndre
good. You
was
need to be bad.
good.
You need to be bad.
No, I think DeAndre Ayton's an elite player, and he was the number one pick. I mean, everyone thought he was gonna be elite. I mean, he was elite until last year, in my opinion.
I
And then
mean, we all thought Markel Fultz was going to be elite too. But the thing is, uh,
dude,
no, I know. Um, I just think DeAndre Ayton, he had a solid season. I think he'll ramp it up a little bit, but I don't think his play style is going to have to change drastically. Along with the fact that I'm a little bit worried about Phoenix, given that there was so much just unhappiness in general, like just a general feeling of disappointment and misunderstanding between Aiton and the Suns organization. So Monty Williams is going to have to do a lot of work to bring, to kind of assimilate Aiton back into this culture. But we'll see. I do think they'll make the move at the deadline to somehow ship him off to Indiana. But I don't know if they do, because at the end of the day, if they didn't see him as a Suns player past the deadline, then why would they have matched that offer for so much back, a few months ago, this summer?
wait, what? Can you rephrase that? I just
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm saying they could make the move to ship Aiton off to Indiana at the deadline. But my question is, if they didn't really see him as a player beyond the deadline for the Suns, then why were the Suns matching that offer with the
Because
Pacers?
they could if they traded him, they would get assets back.
I agree, but I'm just saying,
They would have let him go for free.
I
Now they can get assets for him.
okay, but what assets are you seeing that you like? I'm just saying, if you lost Aiton, then you free up also though like a lot of cap space to get assets as well.
Once you trade eight and you get all that cap space back.
True. I'm just saying, look, immediate versus future. I get the assets, so that
You can
what
future
assets?
assets once you trade Aiden.
What assets do you see coming back for Aiton that really
Picks,
improves that?
picks and picks and picks.
Okay, so you see picks. All right,
Yeah.
yeah. I I'm not quite sure what I would see in an Indiana, like how many picks, how many pick swaps we could be looking at. So that Aiton trade could Could be interesting. Because I do understand the whole they would get assets back in February. I'm just not sure what that trade looks like.
Yeah.
Um, in which case you're keeping a guy that's very unhappy with the culture through this time period. But I agree, Aiton's a good pick. Moving on.
Coach.
We have the coach of the year. I'm going to go with a pick that I'm not quite sure. If you'd asked Colin a few weeks ago, he would have said he agreed with. But the more I'm thinking about it, I really, really like how the Chicago Bulls team is entering this season. And I really like the coaching style that Billy Donovan has brought to them. I think they have a really good culture. And now with Zach LaVine back, I think they look like a really scary team, maybe even underrated, you could call it, when talking about contenders for the East. So I'm going to take Billy Donovan as my coach because I think the Bulls are just going to have a really good season.
Yeah, I think I agree. The only issue I had with that is Lonzo Ball. Is he gonna be healthy? What version are we gonna see him
Yep.
in? I
Mm-hmm.
think once he gets back healthy, he's gonna be great, but I don't know if he's gonna be to the standard he was last year. Look, I think Lonzo is one of the most talented point guards in the league.
Yeah,
I've
easy.
went on the podcast and said I'm a huge Lonzo Ball fan, but the injury, there's no timetable on it. It's a knee injury that you have to be really quick.
And let me just clarify to my point or rephrase. When I talk about the Bulls as a contender for the East, I do want to clarify. I mean, with a healthy Lonzo Ball. And there have been a lot of question marks about his health last season and now over the summer. We're not quite sure the timetable of his return, but it is essential that Lonzo's on the floor healthy, fitting that role for the Bulls for them actually to contend for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. All right. I have Eric Spoelstra. I'm a huge Heat guy. I like how they play. I like everything about the Heat. Um, but yeah. Actually, I don't even know why I said but. Um, the Heat are a great team. Look, the Heat are a great team. They have all the assets. They got a great leader in Jimmy Butler.
Good culture.
Great, yeah, great big. They got a good some good guards. They got a great 6 man slash maybe starter, Tyler Hero. It's just it's a great team to be in. It's a great atmosphere, as you said, culture. And Spolestra is he's been one of the best coaches we've seen in since we've been alive. Just watch. I mean,
One of the most successful behind Steve Kerr.
for sure. I mean, look, Spolestra's a great coach, no doubt about it. Um, but yeah, I have nothing really to add on. Is there any awards you want to touch base on?
Yeah. I would just say, yeah, I think we've
Yeah,
really
I think we covered it.
we've definitely. However, going back to the MVP, um, I do have Luca, I have Giannis in a close second. I put Embiid there at
Give our three, probably our top three.
yeah. I'll give a top five. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Luca at the one, Giannis at the two, Embiid at the three. I'm gonna put Kevin Durant at the four, and then I'm gonna put Kawhi Leonard at the five.
Okay. Embiid at the one, Giannis at the two, KD at the three, Luca at the four. Is that okay with you? And LeBron at the five.
The reason LeBron,
Five. Yep.
LeBron. Okay.
Think so?
The reason I don't put KD in my top three is just because the past few seasons it's getting into a trend now where he's just been having these long term injuries.
Yeah,
And
that's why. That's why he's not the MVP. That's why he's a candidate.
it's brutal. I mean, I want to give him the MVP because, like, for instance, 2021, like the fall/winter of 2021, the dude was balling, carrying the Nets into maintaining that 1 or 2 seed in the East. And he went down. We went into a 14-game losing streak, and you all saw how the rest of the season went. So it was, just a nightmare for us. But KD, he can't be relied on for health, which is a massive hit to him. And frankly, only having one MVP is a hit to the legacy of, one of the best to lace him up. So I do think I put him in that four position because if he's on the floor, he is that guy, but I can't put him in my top three. LeBron, I don't, I don't, don't like LeBron, and the only reason
I
I
don't
say,
like him, but he's a great player. I don't
oh no
like
no
him
no no
either.
no, I'm saying yeah, I don't like I'm fine with LeBron as a person or whatever. I'm just saying I don't love him as a pick, um, only because again, just like Russ finding that role, I'm not sure that LeBron has to be, or Embiid rather. Um, this is a better example. I don't think LeBron has to be
Oh
that
shoot.
kind of player this season.
Maybe I take it back. I think 5 is Jokic.
Yeah, that's a very safe pick.
Okay. Yeah. I think LeBron's also a safe pick. I don't see him being like, really out of there. But yeah, I mean,
I get
both
who
him and Jokic are great players. Like,
I get who LeBron is, and I get he's one of, some even say wrongly that he is the greatest basketball player of all time, but he's one
he's
of the
not.
greatest. He's not, but he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But you got to realize the guy is 39 coming into this next season, 38. He can't do this forever. He cannot maintain a top
Yeah.
player in the league forever. I mean,
He's
like,
gonna be top 10 though.
he'll be a top 10 player in the league, but he will not be a top 5 player in the league.
I don't know.
He'll
We'll have to
still
see.
maintain that superstar status. I just think that, you know, I don't see him being a top 5 player of the league. Please let us know, guys, your top 5 MVP candidates or any of the other awards we mentioned. Drop drop a follow, a subscription, drop a like, please.
Do anything. Just view the video,
We
please.
have gotten a few messages on Instagram by some followers that I'm not sure they're real, coming from Pakistan. So to our fans in all over the Middle East and all over the world, we say thank you. And a good night, and please let us know any of your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.